Let me ask you something honestly. When your credit card bill shows up and you finally make that payment, do you feel a sense of relief? Like, okay, I handled it. I'm good for now. That feeling matters more than you think. Because for millions of Americans, that exact moment, the relief, is where the problem starts. This isn't about being reckless. It's not about shopping addictions or luxury spending. It's about a normal, everyday habit that feels responsible, mature, and safe. A habit that banks quietly depend on. And that habit is costing Americans over $5,000 a year, sometimes more, without them ever noticing it. No alarms go off. Your credit score doesn't crash. Nobody calls you irresponsible. You just stay tired, stressed, and slightly behind. If that sounds familiar, stay with me. What you're about to hear may change how you see your credit card forever. Right now, most Americans feel like they're running on a treadmill. They work hard, show up, pay their bills, and still feel like they're not getting ahead. Rent eats half the paycheck. Groceries cost more every month. Gas hurts. And savings feel like a luxury instead of a basic safety net. What's frustrating is that many people are doing what they were told. They have a job, they budget, they avoid missing payments, they use credit, quote, responsibly. So why does the stress never go away? Why does the balance go down one month, then creep back up the next? It's not because Americans are bad with money. It's because the system is designed to drain slowly, not loudly. The pressure doesn't come from one big mistake. It comes from a quiet, repeating habit that feels harmless. And because it feels normal, people never question it until years of money are already gone. Here's the lie most Americans grew up believing. Quote, as long as you make your payment, you're doing the right thing. That sentence sounds responsible. It sounds adult. It sounds like financial maturity. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Credit card companies don't need you to miss payments. They don't need you to fail. They just need you to believe that paying equals progress. Because when you believe that, you stop asking questions. You stop looking deeper. You stop noticing what's actually happening behind the scenes. Making a payment feels like closure. It gives your brain relief. But relief doesn't mean resolution. In reality, interest keeps working every single day, whether you feel calm or not. This lie doesn't destroy your finances overnight. It slowly reshapes your future, month by month, year by year, quietly taking thousands while you think you're doing everything right. Let's talk about a very common American situation. Meet Sarah. Sarah works full-time. She pays rent, she buys groceries. She's not living a flashy lifestyle. She uses her credit card for convenience and emergencies, not luxury. Her balance usually sits somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000. Every month, Sarah checks her statement. She never ignores it. She pays more than the minimum because she wants to be responsible. She tells herself, at least I'm not falling behind. And honestly, she feels proud of that consistency. But here's the problem. Sarah thinks discipline is enough. She thinks effort alone will fix the issue. What she doesn't realize is that the math is working against her every single day. Even when she's doing what she was taught, the system is quietly collecting its cut. Sarah isn't failing. She's trapped in a design she was never shown how to see. Most people think interest is something that happens once a month. That's a dangerous misunderstanding. Credit card interest is calculated daily. That means every single day your balance exists, it grows a little more. Even when you're not spending, even when you're asleep, even when you're being good. So when someone like Sarah pays her card once a month after the statement closes, interest has already stacked up. Her payment doesn't erase the damage, it just slows it down. And slowing damage feels like progress, even when it's not. This is why people feel stuck. They're putting money toward the balance, but the balance doesn't seem to respond. It's like bailing water out of a boat while the hole is still open. Until you understand how and when interest is added, payments alone won't set you free. They'll just keep you afloat. Let's talk about the number that shocks people: $5,000 a year. That sounds dramatic until you see the math. An average balance of $8,000 at around 23% interest costs roughly $1,800 to $2,000 a year. That's just one card. Now add a second card, or a balance transfer that didn't fully work, or a year where expenses were higher because life happened. Suddenly, that interest jumps to $3,000, $4,000, even $5,000 annually. And here's the scary part. It doesn't feel like losing $5,000. It feels like small payments, manageable amounts, quiet deductions. Because the loss is spread out, it never triggers panic. That's exactly why it works. Money disappears in pieces small enough to ignore, but big enough to change your future. That's how years go by before people realize what it really cost them. Big financial mistakes usually feel dramatic: missing rent, getting collections calls, a credit score crash. This mistake doesn't feel like that at all. It feels calm, routine, almost boring. There's no warning sign telling you something is wrong. You're not late, you're not in trouble. Your credit score might even look okay. That's what makes this mistake so powerful. It hides behind normal behavior. Paying your bill feels like success, even when the system is quietly winning. That's why intelligent, disciplined people fall into this trap, because nothing screams danger. The damage happens in silence, and by the time people realize how much they've lost, they think the problem is them. It's not. The system was built to feel safe while slowly draining you, and anything that feels normal is rarely questioned. Let's be honest about who wins here. Banks don't want you broke. They want you comfortable and predictable. Someone who pays on time, carries a balance, and doesn't panic. That customer is incredibly valuable. If everyone paid off their cards every month, credit card companies would lose billions. That's why minimum payments exist, not to help you, but to stretch your debt across years, sometimes decades. The longer the balance stays, the more interest flows in. This isn't a conspiracy, it's math and incentives. Credit cards are designed to reward behavior that feels responsible but stays profitable. And the most profitable customer isn't the one who defaults, it's the one who never quite gets free. Once you understand that, the system starts making sense. And once something makes sense, it loses its power to you. One of the biggest reasons people don't question this mistake is credit scores. Americans are taught to worship the number. If the score looks good, everything must be fine, right? Not exactly. Credit scores measure behavior, not freedom. You can carry debt for years, pay thousands in interest, feel stressed every month, and still have a decent score. The system rewards consistency, not wealth. That's why people assume they're doing well when they're not. A good credit score doesn't mean you're winning, it means you're predictable. Banks love predictability, but predictability doesn't build peace or security. It builds profit for lenders. Confusing a good score with financial health keeps people trapped longer than they need to be. Once you separate the two in your mind, you start asking better questions, and those questions lead to control. The real damage of this mistake isn't just money, it's stress. That constant low-level anxiety that never fully leaves. The feeling that one emergency could knock everything over. The tension when something unexpected happens, a car issue, a medical bill, fewer hours at work. You tell yourself, I should be fine, but deep down you know there's no margin. And what hurts the most is that many Americans could have that margin if interest wasn't quietly eating it. That stress changes how people live. They delay joy, they avoid risks, they feel guilty spending even on necessities. Over time, money stops being a tool and becomes a weight. And all of it comes from a mistake that never felt like a mistake at all. That's the emotional cost nobody talks about. So let's say it clearly. The mistake is not using a credit card. The mistake is carrying balances in a way that allows interest to grow unchecked, paying once a month, paying after interest hits, letting balances stay high throughout the billing cycle. Most people think paying equals progress, but progress only happens when interest stops working against you.
Otherwise, you're just feeding the system slowly. This isn't about effort, it's about mechanics. Once you understand that timing matters more than intention, everything changes. You realize this was never about discipline alone. It was about information you were never given. And when a problem is mechanical, it can be fixed. But first, it has to be seen for what it really is. Nobody sat you down and explained how credit card interest really works. Schools didn't cover it. Banks didn't advertise it. Even most personal finance advice skips the details. Why? Because clarity reduces profit. Once you understand statement dates, daily interest, and balance timing, you stop leaking money, and leaking money is incredibly valuable to the system. So instead, people learn through experience, years of it. By the time someone realizes what went wrong, they blame themselves. They think they lack
discipline or willpower. In reality, they were navigating without a map. This isn't about intelligence. It's about access to information. And once you finally have that information, the shame disappears. What's left is awareness, and awareness is powerful. Here's the good news. The moment you see this clearly, everything shifts. You stop feeling broken. You stop feeling behind. You realize the problem wasn't you. It was the rules of the game. Understanding how interest works gives you leverage. It turns confusion into strategy. Even before you change anything, awareness alone alters your behavior. You pause, you question, you plan. Control doesn't come from earning more money right away. It comes from stopping unnecessary losses. And once the bleeding stops, progress finally feels real. That's when money becomes calmer. That's when stress drops. That's when people start feeling hopeful again. Control isn't loud, but it's life-changing. If this made you uncomfortable, that's a good thing. Discomfort means awareness is waking up. The most dangerous financial mistakes aren't dramatic. They're normalized. They hide inside routines and habits that feel safe. Millions of Americans are paying thousands every year because of a mistake they don't even realize they're making. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Before your next payment, before your next swipe, ask yourself one simple question. Is this helping me get free or just keeping the system fed? That question alone can change your financial future. And for a lot of people, it already has.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Support Global Finance Insight.